All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started with this. This is the last one, part 4 to 4. Let's get right into it. Compounding interest, solving for the rate. So it's the same thing, guys. We've been doing this. We've been using the same formulas all this time. Excuse me. So we're still going to be using amount equals PE to the RT if it's compounded continuously, or amount equals the initial amount 1 plus R over N raised to the NT. Where n is half and it's compounded, right? We're talking about with reference to a year. So that's why t is always going to be in years here. All right, let's get right into it. Montelongo is going to invest $2,500. So that's the initial amount. That's the P. And leave it in an account for 8 years. That's your T. Assuming the interest is compounded continuously. So if it's compounded continuously, we're going to be using that formula. What interest rate to the nearest hundredth of a percent would be required in order for Montelongo to end up with 3,600? All right, so let's set it up, guys. 3,600 equals 2,500 e to the r times t. So let's see. R is what we're looking for, and t is 8. So I'm going to write it as 8r. All right, so here we go. First move is divide by 2,500 because we're trying to solve for r. Solve for r. So divide by 2,500. So then we have this 3,600 divided by 2,500 equals e to the 8r. And then in order to bring this down, we're going to use ln, our log properties. So I'm going to go ln, and now this 8r comes to the front here. So now you have this. I'm going to write this first. I'm going to write 8r ln of e, and I guess I don't have to write it first, but I wanted to, guys, because I like to have what I'm solving for on the left-hand side, equals ln of 3,600 divided by 2,500. Hopefully that didn't confuse anyone. So remember that ln of e is just 1. That's just 1. ln of e is just 1. So now we have this 8r equals ln of 3,600 divided by 2,500. All right, just divide by 8. Divide by 8. And that's what my r is. And I'm going to go ahead and type that in the calculator. So r equals ln of 3,600 divided by 2,500. All this divided by 8. I guess you could have put a 1/8 in front of it if you wanted to. ln of 3,600 divided by 2,500. You don't have to. You can write it like that. And let me take my calculator. And let's go ahead and use the little fraction feature. I'll put ln. Fraction feature again, and then I believe it was 3,600 over 2,500. 3,600 over 2,500 divided by 8. You could have also done it as 1/8, like how I told you guys. You could have done 1/8 here like that, because it's the same, right? It really means the same thing. ln, and then 3,600 divided by 2,500. Some people think that or say that this looks cleaner, and I kind of agree. It does look a little nicer, but you'll get the same thing. And then multiply that by 100 to get it to look like a percent. And there it is, 4.55 or 4.56, or what did I say? Nearest hundredths. Nearest hundredths. So that means two digits after the decimal, because the third one is the thousandths. So 4.56%. So R equals 4.56%. And yeah, sure enough, check it out, guys. That is the correct answer. Yay! All right, let's go to another one, guys. All right, let's see what this one says. Alfaro is going to invest $3,500 and leave it in an account for 13 years. So this is the initial amount, and this is the time. Assuming the interest rate is compounded annually, what interest rate to the nearest tenth of a percent, nearest tenth, so one digit after the decimal, would be required in order for Alfaro to end up with 6,400. So this is the amount that we want to have. So I'm going to write 6,400 equals 3,500. That's my initial amount, and it's compounded annually. So that means n equals 1. So I'm going to use this formula, 1 plus r over n. So it's just going to be r, because r over 1, because that's what n is. R over 1 is just r. And it's going to be raised to the rt, right? So To the n to the nt, and it's just 1, and t is 13, so 13. So there it is, and we're going to solve for r. All right, so the first move, guys, is to divide by 3,500 because this is the product. This is 3,500 times 1 plus r raised to the 13. So divide. So we're going to have 6,400 divided by 3,500 equals 1 plus r raised to the 13. And you could do an ln, you could, but I think it's easier because you're trying to solve for r. I think it's easier to just raise, we're going to use the law of exponents, raise everything to the 1 over 13. An exponent raised to an exponent, you just multiply those. Whatever you do to one side, do to the other. So we're doing that. And when you do that, so let's see. I'm going to open a parenthesis. I'll put alpha fraction. And I'm going to type in 6,400 over 3,500. 6,400 over 3,500. And then raise it to the power 1 over 13. And bam, there it is. That's not my answer yet. 1.0475. 1.0475 equals 1 plus r. I'm going to subtract 1. So r equals, so here it is. I'm going to subtract 1. And there's my answer. Just multiply by 100, guys. 0.04752. 0.04752. So multiply this times 100 to turn it into a percentage. So r equals, so just moving the decimal 2 times to the right, 4.75. So we're going to round it up because that's a 5. So 4.8%. And yep, there it is. Hopefully this is making sense to you guys, and hopefully you guys are enjoying this. One more, and then we'll set you guys loose. It says, Quinones is going to invest $78,000 and leave it in an account for 7 years. Assuming the interest is compounded daily, what interest rate to the nearest hundredth of a percent would be required in order for Quinones to end up with $91,000? Okay, it's compounded daily. There's 365 days in a year. So that's what we're going to use, guys. All right, so this is my initial amount. That's what I want. So 91,000 equals 78,000, parenthesis, 1 plus r over 365 raised to the power, let's see, 7 years. 365 times 7. All right, so let's see what that is. I'm going to multiply the 365 times 7 first, and then, well, okay, I guess it doesn't matter. Divide. So 91,000 divided by 78,000, 1 plus r over 365 raised to the power. Let's see what 365 times 7 is. So 365 times 7. 2555. 2555. All right, I'm going to go ahead and raise this guy. That there's an equal sign right there. Raise this guy right here to the 1 over 2555. So that's what I'm going to do. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So I'm going to go ahead and raise that guy to the 1 over 2555. So 91,000 over 78,000. So let's do that. 91,000 over 78,000. Let me make sure that I didn't make any mistakes. Nope. 1 over 2555. Raised to the power 1 over 2555. Enter. So there it is. 1.123460335. Okay. I think I wrote it correctly. Whenever you raise this to this, that's just going to turn to a 1, right? That's just 1. That's the whole point of that. So you're going to have 1 plus r over 365. So the first move is subtract 1. So whatever you do to one side, do to the other. So I'm going to subtract 1. So here it is, minus 1. So now I have this number here, 6.03. I guess you can just write 0.000. So let's see how many zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 zeros. So 0.123460335 equals r over 365. Multiply by 365, guys, because we're trying to get r by itself. So times 365 times 365. And there it is. So let's see what that r is. Times 365. So there it is. That's 0.022. 0.022. Now, if you want to turn that into a percentage, move the decimal 2 times to the right or multiply it by 100%. R equals 2.2%. And that's it, guys. So let's see. Is that what we got? Yep. All right, guys. Let me know if all that made sense. Hopefully it did. And if it didn't, let me know. Put it in the comments or send me a quick email. All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. See if you guys can tackle the Delta assignment, and we'll call it a day. All right, later. Bye.